lights go out, the stories begin. Night stories. Your nightmares become real.
I'd been urban exploring for years, crawling through the bones of forgotten places. But this theater, tucked in the rotting heart of our small town, felt different. The silence wasn't empty. It pressed against my ears, heavy, like it was waiting for something to break it. My boots crunched on broken glass as I moved toward the stage, the sound unnaturally loud in the stillness. I shouldn't have come alone, but the thrill of trespassing, of uncovering secrets no one else dared to touch, always pulled me back. The theater had been boarded up since the 80s, a relic of some scandal no one in town liked to talk about. Kids said it was haunted, of course. Every crumbling building has its ghost stories. But I didn't believe in that crap. I believed in moldy rafters and rusted pipes, not specters. Still, as I climbed the creaking steps to the stage, my skin prickled. The air felt wrong, like it was clinging to me, sticky and warm despite the chill. My flashlight caught something glinting in the corner, half buried under a pile of mildewed curtains. A book, bound in cracked leather, its edges frayed like it had been clawed at. I knelt, brushing away the dust, and my fingers tingled as they grazed the cover. No title, just a faint, embossed symbol. A spiral with jagged edges, like a wound carved into the leather. I opened it, and the pages crackled, brittle as dead leaves. The text inside wasn't like any script I'd ever seen. The words were handwritten, ink smudged in places, but the dialogue was alive. Each line pulsed with intent, as if the characters were speaking directly to me. The play was called The Mask of the Hollow, and it told the story of a troupe of actors who performed for a god that lived in the shadows of their stage. The characters were vivid, too vivid. There was the jester, whose laughter peeled skin from bones, the maiden whose beauty drove men to carve out their own eyes, the king who bathed in blood to keep his crown. Each role came with stage directions so precise they felt like commands. Speak this line with your teeth bared. Cut your palm and let the blood drip as you bow. I flipped through, my stomach twisting. The final page was a warning, scrawled in red ink. To perform is to become. To become is to lose all. I should have left it there. I should have walked away. But I didn't. I slipped the script into my backpack, telling myself it was just a creepy artifact, something to show off on my YouTube channel. I didn't know then that the script wasn't just a thing, it was a trap. That night, I uploaded a video of the theater, zooming in on the script's pages, reading snippets of the dialogue in a mocking tone. Who writes this edgy nonsense? I laughed, holding up the book for my few hundred subscribers. Sounds like some theater kid's fever dream. I didn't notice how my voice shook when I read the jester's lines, or how my reflection in the monitor seemed to smirk when I wasn't. I posted the video and went to bed, ignoring the unease crawling up my spine. By morning, the video had blown up. Thousands of views, then tens of thousands. My inbox was flooded with comments, most of them from local teens daring each other to sneak into the theater and read from the script themselves. Make it a TikTok challenge, someone wrote. Act out the jester's monologue and see what happens. I should have deleted the video then, but the numbers were climbing, and the attention felt good. I told myself it was harmless. Just kids being stupid. A week later, I saw the first TikTok. A girl named Sarah, maybe 16, stood in her bedroom holding a photocopied page of the script I'd shown in my video. She'd scribbled the spiral symbol on her wall in marker, grinning as she read the maiden's lines. Her voice was playful at first, but as she spoke, her eyes changed. Glassy, too wide, like something else was looking through them. The video cut off mid-sentence, and the comments were a mix of LOL, fake, and yo, is she okay? I tried to message her, but her account was gone by the next day. Then the disappearances started. Sarah wasn't at school. Her friends said she'd been acting weird, wandering the streets at night, humming a tune no one recognized. When they found her, she was in the park, her face painted white like a porcelain doll, her fingers raw from clawing at her own skin. She wouldn't speak, just stared with those same glassy eyes, muttering lines from the maiden's role. My beauty is a blade, and I will cut until the world bleeds. The cops called it a mental breakdown, but I knew better. I'd felt the script's pull, the way it wormed into your thoughts, making you want to read more, to be more. I went back to the theater, hoping to burn the damn thing. The air was heavier this time, the darkness thicker, like the building knew I was there. The script was where I'd left it, but the pages were different. New lines had appeared, describing scenes that hadn't been there before. One page detailed a character called the Watcher, who stood in the audience and whispered to the actors, telling them who to kill. My name was written in the margins, in that same red ink. I tore the page out, my hands shaking, and stuffed it into my pocket. I doused the script in lighter fluid and set it alight, watching the flames eat through the leather. But as it burned, the smoke curled into shapes, faces, hands, mouths screaming silently. I ran, the theater's laughter echoing in my head. The TikTok trend spread like wildfire. Kids filmed themselves reciting the script in basements, backyards, even the school auditorium. Each video was worse than the last. A boy playing the jester laughed until blood trickled from his mouth, his teeth stained red as he hacked at his own lips with a kitchen knife. Another kid, dressed as the king, was found in the woods, surrounded by animal carcasses arranged in a perfect circle, his hands slick with blood. The comments cheered them on, calling it the Hollow Challenge, oblivious to the madness unfolding. I tried to warn them, posting frantic videos begging people to stop, but my account was shadow banned, my warnings buried under a flood of hashtags. I started seeing them in town, the kids who'd performed. They moved wrong, their limbs jerky, like puppets on fraying strings. Their eyes followed me, unblinking, and I swore I heard whispers when I passed them. Lines from the script hissed under their breath. One night, I woke to scratching at my window. Outside, a girl stood in the street, her face painted like the maiden's, her fingers dripping with something dark. She pressed a bloody handprint to the glass and whispered, "You found it. You started it." I didn't sleep after that. The town was unraveling. Fights broke out at school, kids screaming lines from the play as they tore at each other with nails and teeth. The local news called it a disturbing trend, blaming drugs or mass hysteria, but I saw the spiral symbol graffitied on walls, carved into trees. The theater was locked tight now, boarded up by the city, but I knew it wasn't empty. At night I could hear it, music, faint and discordant, drifting from the direction of the stage. I dreamed of the script, its pages unfolding in my mind, each line a hook sinking deeper into my skull. I tried to leave town, but my car wouldn't start, and every bus I boarded broke down before it reached the city limits. It was like the script wouldn't let me go. I burned the torn page, but the words stayed with me, etched into my thoughts. The Watcher sees all. The Watcher chooses. I started noticing shadows in my peripheral vision, tall and thin, always just out of sight. When I turned, they were gone, but the air felt colder, the whispers louder. Yesterday I found a new video. A group of kids had broken into the theater filming themselves on the stage. They read from photocopies of the script, their voices overlapping in a chaotic chant. The camera shook as they laughed, but the laughter turned to screams. The video ended with a close-up of the spiral symbol, drawn in blood on the stage floor. I recognized one of the kids, my neighbor's son, barely 14. This morning his parents found him in the backyard, his eyes gouged out, a smile carved into his cheeks. I don't know how to stop it. The script is gone, but it's not dead. It's in the kids, in the town, in me. I hear the jester's laughter when I close my eyes, feel the maiden's gaze in every mirror. The theater is calling me back, and I'm afraid I'll answer. Because deep down, I know the truth. I didn't just find the script. It found me. And now, the stage is set, and the play has only just begun. The whispers followed me everywhere now, slithering through the cracks of my thoughts like damp rot. I hadn't slept in days, not since the night I saw the girl outside my window, her bloody handprint still smeared on the glass. I'd tried scrubbing it off, but the stain clung, faint and rust-colored, like the theater itself was marking my house. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications. More TikToks, more kids reciting lines from The Mask of the Hollow, their faces twisting into expressions that weren't theirs. Each video felt like a punch to my gut, a reminder that I'd unleashed this thing, that my stupid urban exploration had cracked open something ancient and hungry. I stayed inside, curtains drawn, avoiding the streets where the air felt charged with wrongness. The town was unraveling faster now. Sirens wailed at all hours, and the local news ran stories about teenage hysteria and violent pranks. They didn't mention the spiral symbols spray-painted on storefronts or the way people avoided looking at the theater like it was a wound in the town's skin. I checked my old video's comments, hoping for some clue, some way to undo this. Instead, I found a new upload linked in the replies, a grainy clip of the theater's interior posted by an account with no name, just a spiral for an icon. The video showed the stage, lit by a flickering spotlight that shouldn't have been working. In the center, a figure stood, draped in a tattered costume, their face hidden by a cracked porcelain mask. They spoke the jester's lines, their voice a wet rasp that made my teeth ache. "The stage is a mouth, and we are its meal," they hissed, and the camera panned to the audience seats, where shadows shifted, too many, too tall, their edges bleeding into the darkness. The video ended with a close-up of the mask, its empty eye holes staring straight through the screen. I deleted my account after that, but it didn't matter. The script was everywhere now, photocopied pages littering the town like dead leaves. I couldn't stay locked in my house forever. I needed answers, and the theater was the only place left to look. I waited until midnight, when the streets were quiet, and slipped out, my backpack heavy with a flashlight, a crowbar, and a can of gasoline. If burning the script hadn't worked, maybe burning the whole damn building would. The air was thick as I approached the theater, the streetlights flickering like they were afraid to shine too brightly. The boards on the entrance were loose, pried apart by other trespassers, kids probably, chasing the TikTok trend. I squeezed through, the splintered wood scraping my arms, and stepped into the darkness. The theater smelled worse than before, a mix of mildew and something sharper like blood left to fester. My flashlight beam trembled as I swept it across the auditorium. The seats were empty, but the air felt crowded, like invisible eyes were pressing against me. I moved to the stage, my boots sticking to the floor. Sticky with what? I didn't want to know. The spiral symbol was everywhere now, carved into the wood, smeared in dark streaks across the curtains. I climbed the steps, my heart pounding so loud I could barely hear the whispers, though they were there, curling around me like smoke. In the center of the stage, where the script had been, was a pile of pages, not burned, not even singed. They were pristine, the leather cover gleaming as if I'd never touched it with fire. I froze, my breath catching as the pages fluttered, though there was no breeze. The script opened itself, the pages turning slowly, deliberately, stopping on a new scene. The watcher's lines stared up at me, and my name was written in the dialogue, in that same red ink that looked too much like blood. The watcher chooses the cast. The watcher carves the stage. My hands shook as I backed away, but the words followed me, echoing in my head, spoken by a voice that wasn't mine. Something moved in the shadows. A figure, tall and thin, its limbs too long, its head tilted at an angle that made my stomach lurch. It didn't walk. It glided, its feet never touching the floor. I swung my flashlight, and the beam caught a face. Not a face. A mask, white and featureless except for two black holes where eyes should have been. It was the watcher, and it was looking at me. I stumbled backward, tripping over a loose board, and the crowbar slipped from my hand, clattering loudly. The sound broke the silence, and the whispers surged, a chorus of voices reciting the script, overlapping in a cacophony that clawed at my skull. I ran for the exit, but the theater seemed to twist around me. The aisles stretched, the seats rearranged themselves, and the stage loomed closer no matter which way I turned. The watcher followed, its mask gleaming in the dark, its voice a low hum that vibrated in my bones. "You found it. You started it," I screamed, my voice swallowed by the theater's hunger, and threw myself against the boarded-up door. The wood gave way and I tumbled into the street, gasping, the cold air burning my lungs. I didn't go home. I couldn't. The theater knew me now, and so did the watcher. I hid in an alley, crouched behind a dumpster, the gasoline can still clutched in my trembling hands. My phone buzzed, and against my better judgment, I looked. Another TikTok, this one live. A group of kids, 5, maybe 6, stood on the theater stage, their faces painted with spirals, their eyes blank as they chanted the king's lines. Blood for the crown, blood for the stage. One of them held a knife, and as I watched, he turned it on the others, his movements jerky, like a marionette. The comments cheered, emojis flooding the screen, flames, skulls, hearts. No one saw the blood pooling on the stage, or the way the kids' smiles stretched too wide, splitting their lips. I dropped the phone, my hands slick with sweat. The alley wasn't empty anymore. Shadows moved at the edges, tall and thin, their masks glinting in the moonlight. They didn't speak, but I heard their voices in my head, reciting the script, calling me back to the theater. I clutched the gasoline can tighter, my mind racing. I could burn it all down, end this before it spread further. But the script's warning echoed in my thoughts. To perform is to become. Had I already performed? Had I become something else when I read those lines on camera? The town was a stage now, the kids its actors, and the script was rewriting us all. I saw it in the streets as I stumbled through the night, people moving wrong, their faces painted with spirals, their voices chanting lines I'd never read but somehow knew. A man stood on a corner, his hands dripping red, laughing the jester's laugh. A woman knelt in the park, her eyes gone, whispering the maiden's lines as she clawed at her face. And everywhere, the watcher's shadow, always just out of sight, choosing who would play next. I made it to the edge of town. The theater's pull weaker, but still there, tugging at my mind. I doused the gasoline can's contents over a pile of trash and lit a match, watching the flames roar to life. It wasn't the theater, but it was a start. I needed to believe I could fight this, that I could stop the script from spreading. But as the fire crackled, the smoke curled into shapes, spirals, masks, hands reaching for me. The whispers didn't stop. They grew louder, clearer, speaking my name. I'm writing this from a motel just outside town, the only place I could reach before my legs gave out. The clerk didn't ask questions, just handed me a key and turned back to his TV, where a news report played, another incident at the theater, more kids missing. My phone is dead now, but I can still hear the notifications, the endless stream of TikToks feeding the script's hunger. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know if I can. The watcher is still out there, and so are the others. The jester, the maiden, the king. They're waiting for me to take my role, to step back onto the stage. I keep the motel room's lights on, but the shadows move anyway, creeping along the walls, forming spirals that pulse like heartbeats. I hear the theater's music, faint but growing louder, and my fingers itch to write, to recite, to perform. The script isn't just a book anymore. It's in me, in the town, in the kids who thought this was a game. And the worst part? I can feel myself slipping, my thoughts not entirely my own. The watcher's voice is in my head now, soft and insistent. The stage is set. Your lines are ready. I don't know how much longer I can resist. The motel room smells of stale cigarette smoke and despair. A thin layer of grime coating everything, including my skin. I haven't moved from the bed in hours, maybe days. I've lost track. The digital clock on the nightstand blinks 12 more, stuck in a loop, mocking any attempt to anchor myself in time. The walls are paper thin, letting in the low hum of the highway and something else. Whispers. Always whispers, curling through the cracks like tendrils of fog. They're not just in my head anymore. They're in the air, in the flickering fluorescent light above the mirror, in the static of the TV that I can't bring myself to turn on. The script's words are clawing at me, demanding to be spoken, and I'm terrified that if I open my mouth, they'll spill out. I tried to leave the motel this morning. I packed my bag, gripped the gasoline can like a lifeline, and made it as far as the parking lot before I saw them. 3 kids, no older than 15, standing under a streetlight that shouldn't have been on in broad daylight. Their faces were painted with spirals, the black ink dripping like tears, and they moved in sync, their heads tilting at the same unnatural angle. They didn't speak, but their lips mouthed the jester's lines, and their hands twitched, holding knives crusted with dried blood. I froze, my breath hitching, and one of them, a boy with hollow eyes, pointed at me, his finger bending too far back. I ran back to the room, bolted the door, and shoved the dresser against it. It won't hold them. Nothing will. The script is still with me, even though I burned it. I see it when I close my eyes, the pages unfolding, new lines appearing every time. Last night I dreamed of the theater, but it wasn't the crumbling ruin I'd explored. It was alive, the seats filled with faceless figures wearing masks, their hands clapping in a rhythm that matched my heartbeat. The stage was vast, stretching into darkness, and I was standing on it, my mouth moving, reciting the watcher's lines. I choose the cast. I carve the stage. When I woke, my hands were bleeding, my nails torn from scratching spirals into the headboard. I don't remember doing it. The motel's Wi-Fi is spotty, but I managed to check TikTok before my phone died for good. The Hollow Challenge has spread beyond our town. Videos are popping up from places I've never heard of, small towns, suburbs, even cities. Kids film themselves reading the script, their voices eager at first, then flat, mechanical, as their eyes glaze over. One video showed a girl playing the maiden, her face painted white, her lips sliced into a permanent smile. She was in a school gym, surrounded by other students, all chanting the king's lines in unison. The camera fell, and the last frame was a pool of blood spreading across the floor, a spiral drawn in the center. The comments were still full of fire emojis and so fake, but there were others, buried deep, warning people to stop, saying their friends hadn't come home after filming. I can't stay here, but I can't leave either. The town is a trap, and I'm caught in it. I tried calling my mom, my friends, anyone who might listen, but the calls don't go through. The line crackles with static, and sometimes I hear the jester's laugh, sharp and jagged, cutting through the noise. I've started seeing the watcher everywhere. In the reflection of the motel's cracked mirror, in the shadows under the bed, in the way the curtains sway when there's no wind. It doesn't move like a person. It drifts, its mask floating in the dark, and every time I see it I feel a pull, like a hook in my chest, dragging me back to the theater. I decided to fight back the only way I could think of. I grabbed a pen and the motel's complimentary notepad and started writing down everything I remembered about the script, hoping to find a weakness, a way to break its hold. But the words I wrote weren't mine. My hand moved on its own, scrawling the jester's lines, then the maiden's, then the king's. I tore the pages, burned them in the sink, but the smoke curled into spirals, and the whispers grew louder, chanting my name. I tried to scream, to drown them out, but my voice came out wrong, too deep, too sharp, like the watcher's. The motel clerk knocked on my door an hour ago. I didn't answer, but I heard him muttering, his voice low and rhythmic, like he was reciting something. When I peeked through the curtains, he was standing in the parking lot, his face painted with a spiral, his hands dripping with something dark. He wasn't alone. There were others. Kids, adults, even an old woman in a nightgown, all standing in a circle, their heads tilted, their mouths moving in unison. They weren't looking at the motel, but I knew they were there for me. I know what they want. They want me to perform, to take my place on the stage. I'm writing this because I need to remember who I am, to hold on to something before the script takes it all. My name is Alex. I'm 23. I'm an urban explorer, not an actor, not a character in some cursed play. But the script doesn't care. It's rewriting me, line by line. I can feel it in my bones, in the way my thoughts twist, in the urge to speak words that aren't mine. The gasoline can is still here, but I don't know if I have the strength to use it. The theater is calling, and the pull is stronger now, a tide dragging me under. I hear footsteps outside, slow and deliberate, circling the motel. The whispers are louder, a chorus of voices reciting the script, and I can pick out the roles, the jester's cackle, the maiden's soft plea, the king's commanding growl. There's another voice, too, one I haven't heard before. It's mine, but not mine, speaking the watcher's lines with a calm I don't feel. The stage is set. The cast is chosen. I clamp my hands over my ears, but it doesn't help. The words are inside me. I don't know how long I have before I'm not me anymore. The shadows in the room are moving again, forming spirals on the walls, and the air is heavy, like it's waiting for me to act. I keep thinking about the theater, about the stage, about the script that won't die. I burned it, but it's still here, in the town, in the kids, in me. I want to fight, to run, to burn it all down, but the script is patient. It knows I'll come back. It knows I'll perform. There's a knock at the door now, soft but insistent. I don't want to look, but I can't stop myself. I creep to the window, pull the curtain aside just enough to see. It's the clerk, his spiral-painted face gleaming under the streetlight. He's holding a knife, and his lips are moving, reciting lines I know too well. Behind him, the others are closer now, their masks glinting, their hands stained red. They're not here to kill me. They're here to bring me back to the stage. I'm out of time. The gasoline can is by the door, but my hands won't move to pick it up. The whispers are too loud, the script too strong. I can feel the watcher's presence, not just outside Ming Nian. System, outside the door, but inside me, a compulsion stronger than fear. I grab the pen and notepad, my hands shaking as I write this, hoping the act of writing will keep me grounded. Keep me me. The knocking hasn't stopped, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat, and I know it's them. The cast, the characters, the things the script has made them. I can hear their voices now, not just whispers, but clear, sharp, reciting lines that echo in my skull. The watcher calls. The stage awaits. I don't know what to do. The gasoline can is heavy in my hands, but the thought of burning the theater feels like a lie now. A desperate hope against something that can't be killed. The script isn't just words. It's alive. And it's chosen me. I can feel it in my blood, in the way my lips want to form the watcher's lines without my consent. I'm fighting it, but I'm slipping. The knocking is louder now, and the shadows under the door are moving, forming spirals that pulse like living things. I'm not sure I can hold out much longer. The stage is calling, and I'm afraid I'm already part of the play. The knocking stopped, but the silence is worse. It's not empty. It's heavy, like the air before a storm pressing against my chest until I can barely breathe. The motel room feels smaller now, the walls closing in, the shadows curling into spirals that pulse in time with my heartbeat. I'm still clutching the notepad, my knuckles white, the pen digging into my palm until it draws blood. The words I've written blur before my eyes, mixing with the script's lines that keep surfacing in my mind, unbidden. The watcher sees. The watcher knows. I shake my head, trying to dislodge them, but they stick like tar, thick and suffocating. I haven't looked out the window since I saw the clerk and the others, their spiral-painted faces glowing under the streetlight. I can still hear them out there, not knocking anymore, but moving. Their footsteps a soft shuffle circling the motel. Sometimes they hum, a low, dissonant tune that I recognize from the script's stage directions, meant to accompany the jester's entrance. My hands itch to open the door, to step outside and face them, to speak the lines clawing at my throat. I bite my lip until it bleeds, the pain a temporary anchor keeping me from slipping entirely. The gasoline can sits by the door, my last plan to end this, but it feels futile now. I burned the script, and it came back. I burned pages, and they rewrote themselves in my head. What's to stop the theater from rising from its own ashes? Still, I cling to the idea of fire, to the thought that I can destroy something, anything, before the script takes me completely. But every time I reach for the can, my hands tremble, and the watcher's voice whispers, "The stage is set. You cannot leave." I've been trying to piece together what the script wants, why it's doing this. The notepad is filled with frantic scribbles, half memories, half nightmares. I remember the warning on the script's final page. To perform is to become. To become is to lose all. It's not just possession, it's erasure. The kids who read the lines, who played the roles, they're not themselves anymore. Sarah, the girl from the first TikTok, wasn't just acting the maiden. She was the maiden. Her mind gone, her body a puppet for something older, hungrier. The boy who carved his own smile, the one who played the jester, he wasn't laughing for himself. And now I can feel the watcher carving out space inside me, hollowing me out to make room for its role. I tried praying, though I've never been religious. The words felt hollow, like shouting into a void. I whispered apologies to no one, to everyone, for finding the script, for posting the video, for starting this. But the script doesn't care about guilt or regret. It wants performance, devotion, blood. I keep seeing the theater in my mind, its stage stretching endlessly, the audience of masked shadows waiting for me to take my place. I see myself standing there, my face painted with a spiral, my voice not my own, reciting lines that end in screams. The motel's phone rang an hour ago. I didn't want to answer, but my hand moved anyway, like it was following stage directions. The voice on the other end wasn't human. It was a chorus, overlapping, reciting the king's lines. Blood for the crown. blood for the stage. One, I slammed the receiver down, but the words kept echoing louder until I realized they were coming from inside the room. I turned, and the mirror showed my reflection, but it wasn't me. My face was wrong, pale, too smooth, with black spirals curling from my eyes like tears. I smashed the mirror with the lamp, shards flying, but the image stayed in my head, burned into my vision. I can't stay here. The motel isn't safe anymore, if it ever was. The footsteps outside have stopped, but I hear breathing now, slow and deliberate, just beyond the door. I grab the gasoline can and the crowbar, my only weapons against whatever's waiting. I don't know where I'm going, but I can't stay still. Can't let the script write me into its next scene. I shove the dresser aside, my arms shaking, and crack the door open. The parking lot is empty, the streetlight dark, but the air hums with that same dissonant tune. I step out, the gasoline can heavy in my hand, and start walking toward the theater. It's not a choice. It's a pull, like gravity, dragging me back to the stage. The town is a graveyard. The streets are empty, but not lifeless. Shadows flicker in windows, spirals glint on walls, and the air is thick with the smell of copper and decay. I pass the park where they found Sarah, and the grass is stained dark, spirals carved into the earth like open wounds. I see movement in the distance. Figures, too many to count, moving in that jerky, puppet-like way. They're heading toward the theater, their heads tilted, their hands clutching knives, bottles, anything sharp. I duck behind a car, my heart pounding, and watch as they pass. Their faces are painted, their eyes blank, and they're chanting, a low murmur of the script's lines. I recognize some of them, classmates, neighbors, the cashier from the corner store. But they're not themselves anymore. They're the cast. I make it to the theater. The boards on the entrance pried open wider now, like a mouth waiting to swallow me. The air inside is hotter, thicker, the smell of blood overwhelming. My flashlight beam shakes as I step into the auditorium, the seats filled with shadows that don't move like shadows should. They're watching me, their masks gleaming, their hands folded in their laps like they're waiting for the curtain to rise. The stage is lit, not by my flashlight, but by a sickly yellow glow from nowhere, illuminating a single prop in the center, a chair, old and splintered, with spirals carved into its arms. I don't want to climb the stage, but my feet move anyway, each step a betrayal. The gasoline can slips from my hand, hitting the floor with a dull thud, and I don't stop to pick it up. The script is here, not in leather, not in pages, but in the air, in the wood, in me. I can feel it rewriting my thoughts, my memories, turning me into something else. I reach the chair and sit, the wood creaking under me, and the whispers surge, a deafening chorus. The shadows in the seats lean forward, their masks splitting into smiles. I try to scream, to fight, but my mouth opens and the watchers' lines pour out, smooth and cold. The cast is chosen. The play begins. My hands move, not mine anymore, tracing spirals on my arms, the skin splitting under my nails. Blood drips onto the stage, and the shadows clap, their applause a dull roar that shakes the theater. I see the others now, the jester, the maiden, the king, stepping from the wings, their faces painted, their eyes empty. They're not kids anymore, not people. They're the script, and so am I. I'm still fighting, somewhere deep inside, but it's fading. The stage is bright now, the spotlight burning my skin, and the audience is growing. More masks, more shadows, filling the seats until the theater groans under their weight. I want to run, to burn it all down, but the script is too strong. Its words, my words. Its will, my will. I'm the watcher now, or I'm becoming it, and the town is my stage. The people my cast. The curtain rises and I speak. The words spill from my mouth, each syllable a chain binding me to the stage. I'm speaking the watcher's lines, my voice no longer my own, low, resonant, cutting through the theater's thick air like a blade. The cast is chosen. The stage is carved. My hands move without my consent, tracing spirals in the air, and the blood dripping from my torn nails sizzles when it hits the stage, the wood drinking it like parched earth. The shadows in the seats lean closer, their masks gleaming with hunger, their applause a pulsing rhythm that matches the pounding in my skull. I want to stop, to scream, to tear myself free, but the script is a tide, and I'm drowning in it. The jester steps forward from the wings, his painted face split by a grin that stretches too wide, his lips cracked and bleeding. It's the boy from the TikTok live, the one who carved his own smile. His eyes are gone, just black hollows leaking something dark, and he moves with a jittery grace, like a marionette jerked by invisible strings. He laughs, a sound that peels the air apart, and the audience laughs with him, their voices a jagged chorus. The maiden is next, her face pale as bone, her lips sliced into a perfect curve. She's Sarah, or what's left of her hands dripping with blood that never seems to dry. She glides toward me, her gaze locking onto mine, and I feel her lines in my head, her voice overlapping with the watchers. My beauty is a blade, and I will cut until the world bleeds. The king enters last, his presence heavy, his crown a crude thing of twisted wire and bone, stained red. He's not a kid, older, maybe the clerk from the motel, his face painted with spirals that pulse like veins. He carries a rusted axe, its blade crusted with something I don't want to name. They circle the chair where I sit, their movements synchronized, their voices weaving into a chant that drowns out my thoughts. The script is alive in them, in me, in the theater itself, and I can feel it rewriting the world outside, turning the town into a stage for its madness. I try to stand, to break free, but the chair holds me, its carved spirals digging into my skin like teeth. My flashlight is gone, lost somewhere in the auditorium, and the sickly yellow glow from the stage burns brighter, casting shadows that twist into shapes, hands, faces, mouths screaming silently. The audience is growing, more masks filling the seats, their edges blurring into the darkness. They're not just shadows anymore. They're people. Or they were. Their faces painted, their eyes empty. I recognize some neighbors, teachers, the barista from the coffee shop, but they're not themselves. They're the script's cast, and I'm their director, their watcher. My mouth moves again, unbidden, reciting lines I never read but know by heart. The play is eternal. The stage is all. The words taste like ash, and with each one I feel less like Alex, less like me. My memories are fraying. My mom's laugh, my dog's bark, the smell of rain on asphalt, all fading, replaced by the script's cold certainty. I see flashes of the town outside, not as it was, but as it's becoming. Streets lined with spirals, bodies moving in jerky unison, blood pooling in perfect circles. The TikTok videos are still spreading, I know it, the hollow challenge infecting new towns, new stages, new casts. I claw at my arms, trying to feel pain, to anchor myself, but the blood only feeds the stage, the spirals glowing brighter where it falls. The jester laughs louder, his head snapping back at an angle that cracks bone, and the maiden kneels before me, her bloody hands reaching for mine. I jerk away, but the king steps closer, his axe raised, and his voice booms, "Blood for the crown, blood for the stage." The audience chants with him, their masks splitting into smiles, and I realize they're not just watching. They're waiting for me to finish the scene, to complete the performance. I scream, or try to, but the sound comes out as the watcher's lines, smooth and commanding. I choose the cast. I carve the stage. My hands move to my face, and I feel the spirals there, etched into my skin, warm and wet. I'm becoming the watcher, or it's becoming me, and the line between us is dissolving. I see the theater stretching endlessly, its stage a void, its audience infinite, and I'm at the center, directing a play that never ends. The jester, the maiden, the king, they bow to me, their movements jerky, their faces splitting as they offer me their knives, their axes, their blood. I don't know how to fight this. The gasoline can is somewhere in the auditorium, but it feels like a distant dream, a prop from a life that's no longer mine. I try to remember who I was, Alex, the urban explorer, the idiot who thought a creepy script was just a story. But the memories slip through my fingers like smoke. The script is all there is now. Its words my thoughts, its will my own. I stand, the chair releasing me, and the audience roars, their applause shaking the theater's walls. The jester dances, his limbs snapping with each step, and the maiden sings, her voice a wail that cuts through my skull. The king raises his axe, and I know what comes next. I stumble off the stage, my legs moving without my consent, and find the gasoline can in the aisle, its weight familiar but useless. I pour it over the seats, the curtains, the stage, my hands shaking but steady, like I'm following stage directions. The audience doesn't move, their masks gleaming, their eyes fixed on me. I light a match, the flame small and fragile, and drop it. The fire catches, spreading fast, the heat licking at my skin. The jester laughs, the maiden screams, the king roars, but they don't flee. They burn, their bodies twisting in the flames, their voices chanting even as their flesh chars. I run, the fire chasing me, the theater groaning like a living thing in pain. I make it to the street, the night air cold against my burned skin, and collapse, gasping. The theater is ablaze behind me, the flames spiraling into the sky, and for a moment, I think it's over. I think I've won. But the whispers don't stop. They're in the wind, in the crackle of the fire, in the pounding of my heart. The stage is eternal. The play goes on. I look back, and the theater is still standing. The fire not consuming it, but feeding it. The spirals glowing brighter in the flames. The audience is there, their masks untouched, their applause louder than the roar of the blaze. The jester, the maiden, the king. They step from the inferno, their bodies blackened but whole, their faces smiling. And I feel it, the script still in me, its words pulsing stronger than ever. I'm not free. I'm not Alex. I'm the watcher, or I will be, and the town is my stage, the world my theater. I run, my legs burning, my lungs screaming, but the streets twist, leading me back toward the theater. The spirals are everywhere now, on walls, on windows, on the faces of the people I pass, their eyes blank, their mouths chanting. The script is spreading, and I'm its herald, its first performer. I want to stop, to die, to end this, but the stage won't let me go. The play isn't over, it's only intermission. The town is no longer a town, it's a stage, and I'm trapped in its spotlight. I run until my lungs burn. The streets looping back on themselves, every corner leading me closer to the theater's blazing silhouette. The fire I started should have consumed it, but the flames only make it stronger, the spirals glowing like molten veins against the night sky. The air is thick with the smell of charred wood and something worse, something alive, rotting, hungry. My legs give out, and I collapse in an alley, the asphalt cold against my palms, my blood mixing with the dirt. The whispers are louder now, not just in my head but in the wind, in the crackle of distant flames, in the pulse of the town itself. The watcher directs, the cast obeys. I'm not Alex anymore, not fully. The script has carved itself into me, my thoughts a tangle of my own fear and the watcher's cold certainty. I can still feel my hands, my heartbeat, but they're not mine alone. My fingers twitch, wanting to trace spirals, to speak lines I never learned. I see flashes of the stage in my mind, endless and black, the audience of masked shadows chanting my name, or the watcher's name. I can't tell the difference anymore. The jester, the maiden, the king, they're out there, moving through the town, their burned bodies unyielding, their voices calling me back. I crawl behind a dumpster, clutching the crowbar I still have, its weight the only thing grounding me. The alley is dark, but the shadows move, forming spirals that pulse like heartbeats on the walls. I hear footsteps, slow and deliberate, and the hum of the jester's tune, sharp and grating. I peek out, my breath shallow, and see them. A dozen figures, maybe more, their faces painted with spirals, their eyes hollow. They're not just kids now. There's the old man from the gas station, the librarian, a woman in a nurse's uniform, all moving like puppets, their limbs jerking in time with the script's rhythm. They carry knives, pipes, shards of glass, their hands slick with blood. They're heading toward the theater, and I know they want me to follow. I try to think, to plan, but the script clouds my mind, its words overwriting my own. I remember the motel, the gasoline, the fire. None of it worked. The theater isn't just a building, it's the heart of this thing, pumping the script's poison through the town. I think of the kids, the TikToks, the way the hollow challenge spread like a virus. It's not just here anymore. I saw those videos from other towns, other stages. The script is growing, and I'm the one who set it free. I force myself to stand, my legs shaking, and grip the crowbar tighter. I can't run forever. The script won't let me. If I'm going to fight, I have to go back to the theater, to the stage, to the heart of it all. I don't know if I can destroy it, but I have to try, even if it means becoming the watcher completely. I stumble through the alley, keeping to the shadows, avoiding the figures that drift through the streets. The town is a maze of spirals now, etched into doors, smeared on windows, carved into the flesh of those who pass me. I see a man kneeling in the road, his face half gone, muttering the king's lines as he slices his own arm. A child skips by, her pigtails bouncing, humming the maiden's song, her hands dripping red. They don't see me, or they don't care. Not yet. The script has them, but it wants me more. The theater looms ahead. Its flames brighter now, licking the sky without consuming the building. The boards on the entrance are gone. The doorway a gaping mouth. I step inside, the heat hitting me like a wall, but the fire doesn't burn me. It parts around me, like it knows I belong here. The auditorium is packed, the seats filled with masked shadows, their applause a deafening roar. The stage is waiting, the chair still there, its spirals glowing red hot. The jester, the maiden, and the king stand in the wings, their burned bodies twitching, their faces splitting into smiles as they see me. I climb the stage, the crowbar heavy in my hand, and the whispers surge, a chorus of voices chanting the watcher's lines. The play is eternal. The stage is all. I try to resist, to hold on to Alex, but the script is stronger, its words filling my mouth. I drop the crowbar, and my hands move, tracing spirals in the air, my blood dripping onto the stage. The audience roars, their masks cracking, revealing nothing but darkness beneath. I'm losing myself, the watcher's voice drowning out my own, but I cling to one thought. I started this. I have to end it. I lunge for the chair, the script's heart, and swing the crowbar with everything I have. The wood splinters, the spirals cracking, and the stage shakes, the fire flaring brighter. The jester screams, his laugh turning to a wail, and the maiden collapses, her body dissolving into ash. The king swings his axe, but I dodge, the blade sinking into the stage, and I swing again, shattering the chair into pieces. The audience howls, their masks shattering, their forms unraveling into smoke. The theater groans, the walls buckling, and for a moment, I think I've done it. I think I've broken the script. But the stage doesn't fall. The fire doesn't die. The pieces of the chair reform, the spirals glowing brighter, and the voices return, louder, angrier. You cannot leave the stage. The jester, the maiden, the king. They rise again, their bodies whole, their faces smiling. The audience reforms, their masks intact, their applause a command. I feel the watcher's presence in me, stronger now, its will crushing mine. My mouth opens, and I speak its lines, my voice a stranger's. The cast is chosen. The play begins. I'm not Alex anymore. I'm the watcher, or close to it, my thoughts a faint echo in the script's vast darkness. The theater is alive, the stage eternal, and the town is its playground, the world its audience. I see flashes of other towns, other stages, kids reciting the script, their faces painted, their hands bloody. The hollow challenge is everywhere, and I'm its source, its first performer. I try to scream, to fight, but the stage holds me, the script owns me. The curtain rises again, and I step forward, my role clear. The jester dances, the maiden sings, the king raises his axe, and I direct them, my hands moving, my voice commanding. The audience cheers, their masks splitting, their darkness spilling out. The theater is my home now, the stage my world, and the play will never end. But somewhere deep inside, a spark of Alex remains, flickering, refusing to die. I don't know how long it will last, but it's enough to keep me writing, to keep me fighting, even as the watcher consumes me. I'm not done yet. I won't let the script win, not without a fight. The stage is my prison now, its boards slick with my blood, the spirals glowing like open wounds under the sickly yellow light. I'm not sure how much of me is left. Alex, the guy who wandered into abandoned buildings for kicks, feels like a ghost fading in the script's grip. The watcher's voice is my voice, cold and commanding, reciting lines that echo through the theater and beyond, into the town, into the world. The cast performs. The stage endures. My hands move without me, directing the jester, the maiden, the king, their burned bodies twisting in perfect rhythm, their faces splitting into smiles that drip with something darker than blood. The audience of masked shadows roars, their applause a physical force, pressing me deeper into the role I can't escape. I'm still holding the crowbar, its weight the last tether to who I was, but it's useless now. I smashed the chair, shattered the spirals, but the stage rebuilt itself, the script rewriting every blow. The fire I started rages outside, but it doesn't touch the theater's heart. It feeds it, the flames curling into spirals that dance in the air. The town is gone, or it's becoming something else, a living set for the script's endless play. I see it in my mind. Flashes of streets lined with bodies, their faces painted, their hands carving spirals into each other's flesh. The TikTok videos are still spreading, the hollow challenge infecting new places, new stages, and I'm the one who lit the match. The jester is close now, his hollow eyes leaking black, his laugh a jagged blade that cuts through my thoughts. He dances around me, his movements erratic, his fingers clutching a knife that glints with fresh blood. The maiden kneels at my feet, her sliced lips whispering lines that make my skin crawl. My beauty is a blade, and I will cut until the world bleeds. The king looms behind her, his axe raised, his crown of wire and bone dripping red. They're waiting for my command, their puppet strings tied to my hands, but it's not me pulling them. It's the script, the watcher, the thing I'm becoming. I try to fight, to hold on to that spark of Alex, but it's like grasping smoke. My memories are unraveling, my childhood home, my friends' faces, the sound of my own laugh, replaced by the script's words, its will. I see the audience growing, their masks multiplying, filling the theater until the walls groan under their weight. They're not just shadows anymore. They're people, or they were. Kids from the videos, neighbors, strangers from towns I'll never see. Their faces are painted with spirals, their eyes empty, their hands clapping in unison. They're chanting my lines, the watcher's lines, and I feel them spreading, a chorus that stretches beyond the theater, beyond the town. I stumble to the edge of the stage, my legs heavy, my vision blurring. The crowbar slips from my hand, clattering to the floor, and the sound is swallowed by the audience's roar. I want to run, to burn it all down, but the script is in my blood, my bones, my breath. I see the gasoline can in the aisle, its contents spilled, useless now. The fire outside is a mockery, a prop in the script's play, and I'm just another actor. My role written long before I found that leather-bound book. I close my eyes, trying to find that spark, that piece of me that's still fighting. I think of the notepad in the motel, the words I wrote to remember who I am. I think of the kids, the ones who started this with their TikToks, the ones who didn't know what they were unleashing. I think of Sarah, her glassy eyes, her bloody hands, and I feel a surge of rage. Not the watchers, but mine. I'm not done yet. I can't be. I force my mouth to move, to speak my own words, not the script's. I'm Alex, I whisper, my voice shaking, barely audible. I'm not your watcher. The theater trembles, the stage cracking under my feet, and the audience hisses, their masks splitting, revealing nothing but darkness. The jester screams, his knife slashing the air, and the maiden's song turns to a wail. The king swings his axe, but I duck, rolling across the stage, grabbing the crowbar as I go. I swing it at the jester, catching him in the chest, and his body crumples, dissolving into ash that swirls into a spiral. The maiden lunges, her bloody hands reaching for my throat, but I swing again, and she collapses, her form unraveling like smoke. The king is slower, his axe heavy, and I dodge, driving the crowbar into his crown. He falls, his body breaking apart, but the pieces reform, the spirals glowing brighter. The audience is on its feet now, their applause a deafening scream, and I feel the script fighting back, its words surging through me. You cannot leave the stage. My hands shake, the crowbar slipping, and I feel the watcher's presence, stronger than ever, its voice drowning out my own. I'm losing, slipping back into the role, but that spark of Alex is still there, burning, refusing to die. I scream, not the watcher's lines but my own, a raw, desperate sound that tears through the theater. The stage shakes again, the spirals flickering, and for a moment the audience falters, their masks cracking. I run for the aisle, the fire outside roaring louder, the theater's walls groaning like a dying beast. I grab the gasoline can, empty but still a symbol, and hurl it at the stage. It doesn't matter if it burns. The act is mine, not the script's. I swing the crowbar at the walls, the seats, anything I can reach, and the theater screams, the spirals pulsing erratically. The audience is chaos now, their masks shattering, their forms dissolving into smoke that chokes the air. The jester, the maiden, the king, they're back. Their bodies reforming, but they're weaker, their movements sluggish. I make it to the entrance, the fire outside blinding, the heat searing my skin. I don't stop, don't look back, even as the whispers follow, the script's voice clawing at my mind. The play is eternal. You are mine. I stumble into the street, the town a nightmare of spirals and blood, bodies moving in jerky unison, their faces painted, their hands raised. They see me, their eyes locking onto mine, and I know they're coming, the cast assembling for the final act. I'm not free. Not yet. The script is still in me, the watcher's voice a constant pressure, but I'm fighting, holding on to that spark. I don't know where to go, what to do, but I know I can't stop. The theater is behind me, burning but unbroken, and the town is its stage, the world its audience. I run, the crowbar in my hand, my heart pounding with something that feels like defiance. The script wants me to perform, to direct, to become the watcher, but I'm not ready to give in. The streets twist, the spirals closing in, and I hear the cast behind me, their voices chanting, their footsteps closing the distance. I'm not sure how much of me is left, but I'm still here, still fighting. The play isn't over, and neither am I. The streets are a labyrinth, spiraling inward, pulling me back toward the theater's burning heart. My legs ache, my lungs scream, but I keep running, the crowbar clutched in my hand like a talisman against the script's relentless pull. The town is no longer a place. It's a stage. Every building, every corner a set for the mask of the hollow. The spirals are everywhere, etched into the pavement, dripping from lampposts, carved into the flesh of the people I pass. Their faces are painted, their eyes empty, their mouths moving in unison, chanting lines I know too well. The stage is eternal. The cast obeys. They don't chase me, not yet, but they watch, their heads tilting at unnatural angles, their hands twitching with knives and glass. I'm barely Alex now. The watcher's voice is a roar in my skull, drowning out my thoughts, rewriting my will. My hands tremble, tracing spirals in the air without my consent, and my lips form words I don't want to speak. I direct the play. I carve the stage. I bite my tongue until it bleeds, the pain a faint anchor, but it's not enough. The script is in my blood, my bones, my breath, and it's winning. The spark of who I was flickers, weak and fading, but it's all I have left. I cling to it, to the memory of my name, my life, the idiot who thought a cursed script was just a creepy find. The theater looms ahead, its flames brighter than ever, spiraling into the sky like a beacon. The fire hasn't destroyed it. It's made it stronger, the walls pulsing with light, the spirals glowing like open wounds. I know I can't outrun it. The script won't let me leave. Not the town, not the stage, not myself. But I'm not ready to give in. I grip the crowbar tighter, my knuckles raw, and force my legs to move, not toward the theater, but away, toward the edge of town. I don't know where I'm going, there's nowhere left to hide, but I have to try, have to fight, even if it's futile. The cast is closer now. I hear them behind me, their footsteps a jerky rhythm, their voices a chorus of the jester's laugh, the maiden's song, the king's roar. I glance back and see them, dozens, maybe hundreds, their faces painted with spirals, their bodies moving like broken dolls. The jester leads, his hollow eyes leaking black, his knife slashing the air in time with his laugh. The maiden follows, her sliced lips whispering, her hands dripping blood that forms spirals on the ground. The king is last, his axe dragging, his crown of wire and bone glinting in the firelight. They're not just coming for me, they're coming to finish the play, to make me the watcher for good. I reach the town's edge, The highway stretching into the dark, but it's no escape. The road is lined with spirals, painted in blood, glowing faintly, and the air hums with the script's tune. I see cars abandoned, their windows smeared with spirals, their drivers standing motionless, their faces painted, their eyes blank. The hollow challenge has spread far beyond the town. I feel it. The script's reach stretching to other places, other stages. Kids reciting lines in basements, on streets, in schools. Their videos feeding the play's hunger. I started this and now it's everywhere, an infection I can't stop. I turn, the cast closing in, their voices louder, their spirals pulsing. I raise the crowbar, ready to fight, but my hands betray me, dropping it to trace another spiral. The watcher's voice surges, "The play is eternal. You are mine." I scream, my voice raw, not the watcher's but mine, and for a moment the cast falters, their steps stuttering. The spark of Alex flares, and I seize it, forcing my legs to move, running not away but back toward the theater. It's the only place left, the heart of the script, the stage where this began. If I'm going to end it, it has to be there. The theater is a furnace now, the flames a living thing, curling into spirals that scream with the script's voice. I burst through the entrance, the heat searing my skin. But I don't stop. The auditorium is packed, the audience of masked shadows standing, their applause a deafening roar that shakes the walls. The stage is waiting, the chair reformed, its spirals glowing red-hot. The jester, the maiden, the king are there, their bodies charred but whole, their faces smiling. I climb the stage, the scripts pull stronger than ever, my mouth opening to speak the watcher's lines. But I fight, clawing at that spark, screaming my own words. "I'm Alex! I'm not your puppet!" The stage cracks, the spirals flickering, and the audience screams, their masks shattering, their forms dissolving into smoke. I swing the crowbar at the chair, again and again, each blow shaking the theater, the flames roaring higher. The jester lunges, his knife slashing my arm, but I swing back, his body crumbling into ash. The maiden reaches for me, her bloody hands cold, but I strike, and she dissolves, her song fading. The king swings his axe, but I dodge, driving the crowbar into his chest, and he falls, his crown shattering. The audience is chaos, their applause turning to wails, their darkness spilling out. I hit the chair one last time, and the stage collapses, the spirals exploding into light. The theater screams, a sound that tears through my skull, and the flames surge, consuming everything, seats, curtains, shadows. I fall, the crowbar slipping from my hand, and the script's voice falters, the watcher's presence weakening. I crawl through the fire, my skin blistering, my vision fading, but I keep moving, out of the theater, into the street. The building collapses behind me, a roar of flame and ash, the spirals swallowed by the inferno. I collapse on the pavement, the town quiet for the first time in days. The whispers are gone, the script's pull broken, or so I hope. The cast is gone, the audience silent, the stage destroyed. I'm Alex again, or what's left of me. My body burned, my mind fractured. I look back at the theater's ruins, a smoldering heap of ash and twisted metal, and I want to believe it's over. But I know better. The script wasn't just in the theater. It was in me, in the town, in the world. I see a spiral on the ground, faint but there, glowing in the ash. I stand, my legs shaking, and walk away, not knowing where I'm going. The town is still, but I hear distant sirens, see faint spirals in the shadows. The hollow challenge is out there, in videos, in minds, in places I'll never reach. I stop the theater, but the script is patient. It's waiting, rewriting itself, finding new stages, new casts. I'm free for now, but I feel it, a faint whisper in the back of my mind. The play is eternal. I keep walking, the crowbar gone, my hands empty but scarred with spirals. I'm Alex, and I'm fighting, but I know the truth. The stage is everywhere, and the curtain never falls. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't scare you too much. If you like my stories, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. See you next time.